for one fall. Approaching the ring, representing the Outsiders from Miami, Florida, Scott Hill. His partners, representing the Fallen from your darkest fears, Raiden.
Mr. Exciting Johnny Laurinaitis facing off against the bad guy Scott Hall at the beginning of this 6-man tag matchup as part of the Superbrawl series. The winner of this match will go on to face the team of Golddust, Eddie Guerrero, and Wade Barret at Superbrawl. They won their match earlier this week on Raw in order to qualify themselves. And we see Laurinaitis with a great side slam to Scott Hall here. A series of punches to the face from Laurinaitis to Hall. Laurinaitis has his big bodyguard, the Big Show, in the corner of him, but he got the bad draw being at the beginning of this match against Scott Hall, part of the Outsiders. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall's teammate, in a constant war with Hulk Hogan at the moment over the WCW Heavyweight Championship. As you see, Laurinaitis able to actually put a fair amount of damage onto Scott Hall with a rake to the back from Laurinaitis. We get a headlock from Hall, sending Laurinaitis down to the mat. Scott Hall actually tags in Raven. These two men, Raven and Scott Hall, faced off against each other on last week's WCW, in which Scott Hall was able to beat Raven in a normal match. Raven is very used to Raven's rules, which in WCW and WWE terms would be hardcore rules or extreme rules. Raven normally has his flock behind him, Kidman and Perry Saturn, but they're not out here tonight. This is Smackdown. This is an inter-brand matchup in the Superbrawl series. Now, if you do not know what the Superbrawl series is, these 6-man tag matches were randomized and are leading up to more 6-man tag matches in which will be reduced to 18 competitors from those randomized tag matches. Those two men, Sabu and Taz, the two men who have held the Fuck the World title in the past, will be added to the 18 men that qualify through the 6-man tag matches into a 20-man Royal Rumble at the end of Superbrawl. Laurinaitis getting called to get a tag into the ring by Big Show as he goes for a pin here. Raven quickly kicking out here, as Laurinaitis staying into the ring for quite some time, perhaps trying to make his ends meet as a randomized contestant in this Superbrawl series. You can see big man Mark Henry in the back here. He's undoubtedly wanting to get back in that ring, induct more people into his Hall of Pain. As Raven gets chopped, a nice tackle from Laurinaitis, but getting clotheslined by the former WCW champion. Raven had the WCW championship for quite some time, mandating that every match be in Raven's rules, so every match would be interrupted by the entire flock. As you see Laurinaitis whipping Raven into his corner, but Raven able to adeptly counter. Laurinaitis countering as well and able to tag to his big friend, the Big Show, for a giant punch to the gut to Raven, as Laurinaitis helped out Big Show and a giant bulldog by the Big Show, also known as the Giant in WCW. A huge punch to the face to Raven as Raven gets sent into the enemy quarter once again. And now Laurinaitis coming back in. Big Show now holding Raven for a nice punch to the gut from Laurinaitis here. And Laurinaitis trying to imitate the Big Show with that big dog-like bulldog-like maneuver, but not able to fully get it. So a nice knee to the back will have to suffice here as Raven runs to his tag partner's side. And now Raven, a nice headbutt to the arm of Laurinaitis, sending him down to the mat. Raven now going to tag in Mark Henry. Big Show now back into the ring. Both of these men faced off last week on Smackdown. These men had a singles matchup between the two of them, and now they are fighting each other once again. As Mark Henry getting a nice backbreaker put onto him by the Big Show. Mark Henry a bit shorter, a bit lighter than the Big Show, but was able to win out the strength contest, as Mark Henry is the world's strongest man, holds many weightlifting records. These two men, a huge punch to the gut, a series of chops. Mark Henry pushing away the Big Show, and now with a huge clothesline, sending Big Show down to the mat. Tying back up with the Big Show. Able to grab at the back of the world's strongest man. Mark Henry being picked up so high by the tall Big Show. Paul Wright. Headlock from Show. Getting countered there. As Mark Henry goes to the outside. John Laurinaitis looks to grab Henry, but gets sent into the corner for his efforts. But Henry turning his back on Show is not what you want to do. As Henry gets grabbed by Laurinaitis now. As Laurinaitis sends him into the steel steps. Raven sends Laurinaitis back into the ring. Mark Henry sends Show into the steel steps, but a giant flapjack by Show to Henry. As Raven sends Show into the steel steps. Show now grabbing Raven, sending him into the corner here. As we get great amount of turmoil here as all 6 men are now going to be fighting in this corner. As Kazarian grabs at Scott Hall. Mark Henry going to the back inside of the ring at the 7 count. As Kazarian trips up himself and Scott Hall on the outside. They are both down. And Laurinaitis trying to calm the crowd down, telling him people power will in fact win this matchup. Show has his back in this matchup as he sends Mark Henry to the outside again. As Hall gets sent against that steel pole by Kazarian from TNA Wrestling. We saw Kazarian the other night on Impact Wrestling, in which he and Christopher Daniels, also known as Bad Influence, lost their match against the New Age Outlaws, as Hall gets sent all around this arena by the 3 opposing men. They're trying to focus on Hall, but Mark Henry is the legal man here. And a huge headbutt in that corner barricade. And now Henry grabs at Show and sends him over those steel steps. The huge amount of weight behind Show sending those steps flying. As we get a giant check from the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. Both big men going back into this ring. And Henry now whipping Show around the ropes. With a giant tilt-a-whirl slam. Such a huge amount of weight to be flying around the ring like that. Mark Henry's immense strength. As he goes to the outside. And Show following suit. Laurinaitis prowling. Trying to attack Mark Henry from behind. As Show sends Henry all the way across the arena. Hall now grabs at Show and sends him over the steel steps. The steel steps do not budge. And Laurinaitis gets a few elbows to the head by Mark Henry. Show sent into the middle of the ring by Scott Hall. And Scott Hall gets tackled to the outside by Show. And a giant flapjack by Show. As Mark Henry was trying to use a running maneuver against him. Now Show sending Mark Henry to the outside once again. I think his head may have hit against that. No, he was holding his wrist there. His wrist might have hit against those steel steps. As Raven sends Show back right into the middle of that ring. These 2 men want to fight each other. As Show does a giant bulldog to the referee. With his ironclad contract, he can't be penalized. As Kazarian takes the opportunity to go into the middle of the ring. It looked like he was going for a springboard maneuver onto Mark Henry. But Mark Henry going out to the outside to avoid that. As Scott Hall sending Show back into the middle of the ring. As Show tackling Hall back to the outside. As Raven is sent into the ring. Laurinaitis grabbing Hall, sending him into the ring. And with a giant kick to the head by Laurinaitis as Raven sends the Big Show into the ring. Mark Henry going back to the outside as a complete turmoil here. Henry looking for someone here. He wants to induct more people into the Hall of Fame, and I think it's Show that he wants to induct here as he gets the back of Show. What's he going to do here? But Show able to counter and send Mark Henry down to the mat. Now Show sending Henry out to the outside once again. Show wants to fight on the outside here. This is where he thinks he has the advantage as he sends Henry into that barricade. Hall sends Show back into the middle of the ring. Hall being grabbed at by Laurinaitis. A giant ham hock of Show as he sends Hall into the middle of the ring and tries to choke out Hall. Show is being fixated here onto Scott Hall, but Hall is not the legal man here. Mark Henry is, as Mark Henry rolls to the outside once again and checks his own partner here in Scott Hall. He tried to check Giant here, but actually missed and hit Scott Hall as we get a headlock into a trip by Mark Henry, sending Show down to the mat. Now picks up Show, as Show doesn't seem to have any support in this corner anymore, but Show sending Mark Henry into this barricade, a giant headbutt in that barricade. But Show is now grabbed by Raven and sent into Hall. Hall not reacting fast enough, but Show sending Raven into that barricade as Laurinaitis gets in the way of Mark Henry trying to get back into that ring. Laurinaitis and Kazarian on the outside, on the opposite side of the ring now. As the two giants are still are the legal men of this matchup. As Show gets sent into the middle of this ring, getting choked by the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. Henry has got his two opponents right behind him, but Henry able to counter and get a headlock onto Kazarian. Kazarian slapping him away as Laurinaitis sends him into that steel pole. Kazarian gets sent to the middle of the ring. Laurinaitis gets a series of strikes by Mark Henry, but Mark Henry gets set to that steel post by both Laurinaitis and Show. What's Show going to do now? He's going to wait for Mark Henry to get back on the outside here. Mark Henry missing with that grab as Show sending him into Laurinaitis. Laurinaitis sending him into the ring. And that huge boot from Show against the head of Henry. Show once again waiting on the outside as they both get into the ring here. A giant flapjack once again sending Mark Henry up so high here as we have him grab at Henry and setting him to the outside once again. Want to pound on him with all three of his tag partners here. All three of them seem to be working in unison here as we have some mismatching going on at the other team, as we don't get any support for Henry on the outside here from Raven or Hall. As we get Show looking on Henry. Henry just keep on going out for more. Show running back in the middle of the ring, but Mark Henry getting grabbed by Laurinaitis and tripped up with a Russian leg sweep. A very technical move for Laurinaitis here as Show just picks up Henry, and Henry's looking very dazed here. Laurinaitis trying to grab at Henry, but Henry countering with a giant tackle, sending Laurinaitis down to the mat. Show sends Henry back into this corner even more and sends him into that barricade with a giant headbutt, sending him down. And Show runs into this ring. Laurinaitis sending Henry into that steel pole. Raven trying to send him into that steel pole as well. As we get Kazarian now sending Henry into that corner. And now we have all six men in this corner over by an announce table. As we have Show now kicking the head of Henry, sending him back into the ring. Laurinaitis looking for a fight, it seems. And Henry coming back out to the outside and getting grabbed by the Big Show and sent back in. Show just toying with Henry. Show dominating this matchup so far with the help of his tag partners Laurinaitis and Kazarian. Mark Henry finally looking to perhaps make a tag, but Raven and Hall actually dropping down on the outside where you cannot make a tag. You cannot make a tag if you're not touching your allied post. As you see Mark Henry get pushed away by Show here. Both Raven and Hall just looking on. Raven actually grabbing at Show here, sending him to the middle of this ring. The Giant was a wrestler in WCW for quite some time under the moniker The Giant. He initially came into WCW saying that Hulk Hogan killed his father, Andre the Giant. That storyline has been dropped several years ago. As you see, Raven now whipping Big Show into the middle of this ring. Mark Henry crawling up on top as well. As Show rolling out to the outside, Laurinaitis attacking Raven. Raven playing by his own rules, is not someone that people power particularly like. People power want people to abide by the rules of the company. Like Scott Hall. Scott Hall has had so many infractions with the WWE on account of his drug use and alcohol use. People power do not like that. They like people like the Big Show. As you see, Mark Henry gets sent against that barricade, and all three men on the opposing team prowling, sending Henry all the way across this ring. Henry now against it here as he gets sent to that corner by Show. Show now gonna try and run into the middle of his ring. Gotta get some help by Hall. As Hall throws him into the middle of the ring. We're at a 7 count here. As Hall gets brought into the ring, and a giant stomp by Show. And he's gonna drag Hall into the middle of the ring. Henry gonna get himself back in the ring now. And Hall getting thrown around this ring by Show. Raven, the legal man now, as we get a giant DDT by Raven, planting Big Show right in the center of this ring. Seems like Raven has taken a lot of damage on these skirmishes on the outside, as Show sends Raven out to the outside once again. And we get all three men trying to prowl now on the new legal competitor Raven. Raven is used to many men trying to fight him. He is a hardcore wrestler, as Big Show now gets attacked by Henry. Henry getting attacked by Kazarian. Hall attacking Laurinaitis. There's a complete pandemonium here on the outside, as Show now gets back into the ring with Raven. Raven is going to try and look to keep this match in the ring, it seems, so far. As Raven gets attacked by Kazarian, enough of a distraction for Show to send him over the top rope once again to back to the outside. Show now grabbing at Raven. Raven able to counter and send Show into that barricade. All the way over by the bell. Raven getting sent into this corner barricade by Show. And a huge headbutt by Show. Now, Show getting grabbed by Hall. As Hall not able to do much with that there. As Show sends Raven into the corner. And now, he picks up Raven. And he spears Raven right through the barricade here. And they're at a 5 count. Will Show, Laurinaitis, and Kazarian 6 let Raven down? Will they keep him down on this mat? No, Kazarian picks up Raven at a 7 count. Raven against the pole and an 8 count. 9. Raven has 1 count to get in, and he gets in. Raven able to get in, but a huge flapjack by Big Show, sending him halfway across this ring. And go for a pin here. No. Raven able to kick out. As we see an leg drag from Raven, sending Show down to the mat. As Raven's tag partners try to organize on the outside there, we get a huge running DDT by Raven. And now Raven going to go for a nice elbow drop to the chest of Show. Series of punches from Raven. Getting dazed. Getting Big Show dazed for a nice Russian leg sweep. So we get him now for a huge camel clutch in the corner here. He is quite close to the ropes, and yes, Show able to grab for those ropes and get a rope break here. Got a headlock from Raven into an arm drag into another headlock. Able to be countered by Show, but a huge atomic drop by Raven to Show. Able to get the back of Big Show. Huge headbutt to the back, sending the Giant down to the mat. Huge right to the back by Raven. Raven now prowling, trying to think of his next move here as he grabs Show into an armbar and takes the leg down and trips down Big Show. Tries to injure that leg. As Hall and Henry seem to be calling for a tag here. All three men on the side of Hall, Henry, and Raven have been through this match for quite some time. Laurinaitis has done a fair amount of wrestling. Kazarian has not done much. As you see, huge butt splash from Show and a giant crossbody splash sending Raven down to the bottom of this mat, going for a pin now. 1, 2, only 1 count. Raven able to kick out quite quickly. Kazarian now making his first time in this matchup. As I said, once again, a member from the TNA roster here in this multi-brand matchup. We have many men from WCW or previously from WCW in this match. We also have many Smackdown stars. He goes for a pin here. One. Only one count. Kazarian not able to make that go. As Mark Henry's got to get out of the ring. Going to drop down to the outside to get to his proper side of the ring. As we see Show looking to grab at Raven perhaps, but not actually going for it. As a series of strikes to the back from Raven to Kazarian here. And a huge elbow drop missing somewhat, but able to connect a bit. It's Kazarian with a huge move here. As we get Raven getting busted open. Laurinaitis tackling Scott Hall down to the mat. As we get a Hurricane Rana from Kazarian to Raven. As we get Kazarian dragging Raven to the middle of this ring here. 1, 2, 3. Scott Hall did not save Raven. Laurinaitis showed Kazarian go on in the match.